everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be showing you a few different techniques that I've used to edit my Instagram photos. I'm going to walk you through how I edit them and sort of how I set up a theme for my Instagram. There are tons of videos out there about how to set up themes, so if you're confused about exactly what that is, you can go and watch those, but essentially a theme is just your pictures all looking cohesive together. So this right here is my current theme, which I just recently changed from this theme, which I'll be showing you how to do as well, which changed from this theme, which I will also be showing you how to do. So really quickly, I'm going to show you examples of all of those. The app that I use to edit all of my Instagram photos is Vsco Cam. I believe that it's free. It used to not be, so I'm actually not sure. I'm not 100% anymore about whether it's free or not, but I believe that it is free now, and you can just buy additional filters, but they also have tons of free filters for download. I don't believe any of the filters that I'll be showing you in this app are filters that cost extra money. They're just downloadable for free from their shop, which you can see right here in their app. So these are the three ways that I'm going to be showing you how to edit pictures. This is way number one. This was my first theme, my second theme, and my current theme, which is my third theme. The main difference is this theme is very fadey and sort of concentrated on blues. This theme is more concentrated on purples, and this theme is less fadey and more vibrant with another concentration on blues, but in a little bit of a different way, which you'll see in a second. So I just went ahead and uploaded 3 of the original picture, that way I can give you an idea of how I do it. So we're going to start with my very first theme, which was the fadey blue theme. And so you just click on the picture and hit edit, and the main filter that I used on that was F2. Just so you can see, that is the original, and that is with the filter. It just sort of brightens it and adds a little bit of a blue tint to it, which isn't as obvious in this picture, but in certain pictures it's very obvious, the blue tint. So then I'm just going to go into the further editing settings, and I'm going to start by turning the exposure down a little bit. The exposure on a picture totally depends on the picture. That has less to do with the theme. Sometimes I decide that I want my theme to be a little bit darker, in which case I'll lower the exposure, but most of the time the exposure is just based on the picture itself and what it needs. So after I do that, I'm just going to go ahead in and crop the picture the way that I want it. All of my themes are square, so I go ahead and stick with that. Then I'm going to go over here to contrast, and I turn the contrast way down. That's how we begin sort of fading out the picture. Next, I go over here to saturation, and I turn the saturation down a bit. Saturation was very low in this theme for me. Also, this is a really convenient tool. I don't need to use it in this picture, but for example, if you have a picture of a horizon and the horizon isn't exactly straight in the picture, you can use this to just straighten it out. But this one is actually pretty good, so I'm going to leave it as is. Moving on from there, you can play around with the highlights and shadows. Once again, that depends for me on the picture. This one looks alright. Now, to add in more of a blue, I go into the temperature and I turn that down 2 or 3. This one I think I'm going to go with 2, just to get that really blue look in there, and that's how I really bring the blue in with this theme. And then, of course, I need to add a little bit of tint. Tint also adds in blue, so I go in about 3 for that. And then continuing on, the last thing we need to do is add some fade in there. So as I mentioned, this was a very fadey theme, so I like to turn this up pretty high, and then you can get a look at the original picture, which is right there, and the picture with my filters on it. So the only thing that I think I forgot to do on this was sharpen it. Sharpening I just do on all of my pictures. I bring it up to around anywhere from 4 to 6 depending on the photo. So I'm just going to go ahead and save that, and that is our first way that I edit my Instagram photos. So now we're going to move on to the second way. The main filter that I used on my second time around was P5, which is a very popular filter right now on Instagram. Pretty much everyone uses P5. Once again, we're going to go in and further edit it. So I go ahead over here and I crop it so that it's square, of course. And then for this, I actually think I'm going to lower the exposure 1 again. And then I'm going to go over here and sharpen. So those are sort of the basic things that I do on all of my photos, no matter the theme. Moving on, the contrast is going to come down a little bit in this, and the saturation is going to come down as well. Once again, this was not a very saturated type of photo theme. I also will lower the temperature about 1, and continuing, I will bring the tint up about 3 or 4. I like this because it adds a purpley sort of look, and this theme was very based on purple. And the way that I mostly bring purple into that is using the shadow and highlight tool here. So I just click on shadow tint and I select the purple color. And you can see that's pretty dramatic, so I like to then just click it and turn it down a little bit and save that. And then same with the highlights, I select the purple and turn that down. And you can see how that just adds an overall purple look to the picture, and really you can see how if you did that to all of your pictures, it would really make them all work together. And then lastly, I'm just going to go into fade and turn that up just a little bit. This was not a super faded theme, but I do like to have just a little bit of fade in there. And that is it for this picture. I'm just going to go ahead and save that. And now you can take a look. This was my first theme. That was my second theme, so you can see the differences between them. And now we're going to go to my last theme. So once again, we're just going to go ahead and click edit and then move over, and I've been using the filter HB2 on my pictures, and you can see that that just adds a bit of contrast to the photo and sort of lightens up the lighter areas. Once again, going into further editing and doing our basic things like cropping it, sharpening it, and then lowering the exposure a bit. This theme tends to be a little bit darker, so I normally will lower the exposure on these photos. As for the contrast, I like to bring that down about 2, just to lower the contrast a bit, since the filter does tend to add a lot of contrast to it, which it's not my favorite thing in the world. And then I go over here, and this is actually a super saturated theme, so I like to bring the saturation up 3 or 4, just to make sure that it gets that sort of brighter look to it. And then I'll go over to temperature and turn that down, normally about 1, just to start to get that blues in there, because this is a very blue focused theme. I go into fade and only turn the fade up about 2, just because I like the general wash that it gives to it, but I don't want it to look too fadey on this theme. And the last thing I do is go into the shadows tint tool and click this blue color and then lower it down a bit, and that just adds a pretty blue overcast to the picture in general, and I just love the way that looks. I actually don't use the highlights tool with the blue. I think that's just a bit too much for this theme, so I just tend to use it just for the shadows tint. And there's the original picture and the edited picture. We can go ahead in and just save that, and now you can see the difference. Here's our first theme. There's our second theme. You can see that these are sort of similar to each other. This is just a little bit more purpley. And lastly, our final theme, which is a big change for me. It's much more focused on dark blues and contrast and saturation. Now I want to show you how these sort of work together. So coming up here, this was my first theme. You can see how it really has a lot of blues in there. It has the fade going on. It's a pretty clear theme that I have going on throughout here. Moving up, then I switched to that purple theme. You can see here the way that that worked together. I really loved the way that this looked. And I also tried to stick to a sort of light, dark, light, dark, light, dark sort of deal. It didn't always work out that way, but I did try to do that for a little while with this theme. So that's something else you can think about. The order that you upload your pictures in can make a difference in the theme. And lastly, my new theme, which I've only been doing for a little while here. It's only these, oops, sorry that the camera moved. Molly knocked it. Molly, get out of here. It's only these couple pictures here that are in this current theme, but I really like the way that it's looking so far. I think the blue just makes it all really work together. It's contrasty and saturated, and it's just something really different from what I would normally put on my Instagram. And that's it for how I edit my Instagram photos. I apologize for my voice and that's a little scratchy. I'm feeling a little ill today, but I wanted to get this video up for you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram and all of my other social media. All of that will be linked down below. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!